Dan, welcome to the show.
Happy to be back, Jacob. Thanks for having me. I love being on TvAbraham.
So, what is TAPI?
So, thanks for having me on. I become a student of Central Asia in the last couple of years. I've been to Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan twice in the last 2 years, and I've been to Pakistan twice in the last year. And I've been learning a lot about how important this region of the world is. You've seen the Trump administration pay a lot of attention. They just had a meeting of what's called the C5+1. They just agreed to add Azerbaijan, so we're now going to call it the C6+1. Somebody was kind enough in Uzbekistan to just open up a map and just look at the map. And all your viewers have to do is look at a map of Central Asia, and you'll see what I'm going to describe. The balloon of energy, of digital, of trade, of rail is being pushed towards Azerbaijan. But there's a potential to push the balloon in a different direction. And so one of the things, and I published something in the Jerusalem Strategic Tribune last December after a visit to Pakistan, I went around and met with all the relevant think tanks, all the relevant government officials, all the relevant business groups. And my message to everyone in Pakistan a year ago was the big opportunity between the United States and Pakistan is minerals.
That's what we're going to talk about right now.
Yeah.
What minerals does Pakistan possess?
Pakistan is, I think, the fifth largest reserves of copper in the world, but then it's got probably another dozen unspellable, unpronounceable, critical earth minerals in large quantities. They often come adjacent to copper.
But we need copper.
We need copper. If you want to have AI, you need copper. If you want to have F-35s, you need copper. If you want to have iPhones, you need copper. If you want to have electric vehicle batteries, you need copper. And then you need all these other funny minerals that go with it.
I mean, the two main conductors are, well, silver and copper.
Correct. And so for now, given the technology constraints that we have, we need this. So if you've looked at the last 12 months, Pakistan and the United States have gone really big on trying to develop relationship on minerals. And so you're seeing this. So I just came back from Pakistan. I attended something called the Margala Dialogue, which is their foreign policy and security conference. I was the only American there. And my takeaway this time, having been to Central Asia and been to Pakistan, is that Pakistan is in some ways potentially a Central Asian country, the way that Azerbaijan is sort of kind of adjacent to and connected to Central Asia. Now, there's this minor detail that Pakistan is separated from Central Asia by Afghanistan. So it's complicated. And so obviously your viewers are aware of the fact that the Taliban control Afghanistan. So my deep thought this time is we need a lot of energy to pull rocks out of the ground. You want to process minerals or pull rocks out of the ground for mining, whether it's in Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan. If you want to have artificial intelligence, I asked, my sense is you need almost like another city the size of Lahore of electricity to power Pakistan going big in artificial intelligence.
But you do not believe that we need formal relations with the Taliban?
Correct. That's exactly right. So my point is that we need to, there's something called TAPI, this Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India gas pipeline. Turkmenistan has I think the third or the fourth largest gas reserves in the world. They have plenty of gas. There's plenty of gas in Turkmenistan to go around. They sell a lot of it to China. They're in the process of starting to sell it to Europe. But there's enough gas in Turkmenistan that you could have a pipeline that goes from Turkmenistan through Afghanistan, through Pakistan, and maybe to India. In the short run, the next 2 to 5 years, we should focus on the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan component of TAPI. I think if those three things are built, India will want to come on board and say, I want some of that gas, because India has an insatiable demand for energy and will absolutely want to develop we'll add the Lego piece that goes to India. But Up until now, a series of things have held back TAPI. It's been geostrategically complicated for decades. We've been talking about TAPI for 30 years. But my argument, Jacob, that I'm making the piece that's going to be in the Jerusalem Strategic Tribune about why TAPI and now is that so some power needs to catalyze and bring together TAPI. Turkmenistan is a wealthy country in gas, but on its own doesn't have enough oomph to make this happen. Afghanistan is a pariah state. Pakistan is conflicted about TAPI. Do they want to rely on Afghanistan for gas? They have a number of suppliers of energy that would see this as unwelcome competition. But there's a series of planets that have aligned in the last 12 months, even last 24 months, that make TAPI really interesting. Let me just go through them. The first is that President Trump understands that we need gas to power artificial intelligence. We need gas to power minerals. We need gas to power the processing of minerals. There's no hang-ups about gas as an issue related to climate change in the Trump administration. The Asian Development Bank was the secretariat for TAPI until the collapse of the last government in Afghanistan before the Taliban. So Asian Development Bank pulled back when that happened. And then also during the Biden administration, there was pressure on them not to do any projects related to gas. Gas was bad. Gas is now good. So the Asian Development Bank could pursue the Turkmen piece and could pursue the Pakistan piece. My view is that any number of different interlocutors could run the Afghanistan piece. We do not have to recognize Afghanistan. We have tactical, indirect conversations with Afghanistan on counterterrorism. We have tactical, indirect conversations with Afghanistan on humanitarian issues. My view is this is an important enough issue for the United States, and I'll explain what our interests are in a minute, that this merits us having tactical, indirect discussions with the Taliban to allow for the pipeline to be built. The Asian Development Bank probably can't get involved in financing the pipeline in Afghanistan. They absolutely can do so in Turkmenistan. They absolutely can do so in Pakistan. But Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the Islamic Development Bank could all finance the Afghan component. The Afghans are not seeking recognition in exchange for the construction of the Afghan piece. They want it built. They will get $500 million a year in toll fees when this is built. This is 2, 3, 4 years from now. I have concerns about the Taliban. I don't like the regime. I want them to allow for girls in school. I'd like for us to have access to Bagram Air Base. I hope all these things are somehow resolved someday. The monies again, this is 2, 3, or 4 years from now. Once they're developed, we could put the Afghan toll fees in a bank account in Qatar or in Saudi Arabia or controlled by the Islamic Development Bank. Those monies could be dispersed to UN aid agencies directly helping the Afghan people, the World Food Program, UNICEF, other UN humanitarian organizations. That's sort of what the bill is every year for food insecurity and other challenges in Afghanistan. So this money could directly impact the Afghan people as opposed to directly benefiting the Taliban, at least in the short to medium term. I think you could also set aside some of the monies for a girls' education account. We could say this money over here is going to be set aside for the day when you're willing and allowing girls' education to happen at the high school level or, beyond sort of 5th or 6th grade to finance girls' education. Like we could do that. So my point is there are ways around the Afghan conundrum. Additionally, Jacob, the U.S. and Pakistan relations are at their best point in 15 years. And it's the first time in 70 years that the United States is looking at Pakistan not through the distorted lens of China, not through the distorted lens of India, not through the distorted lens of Afghanistan. They're looking at Pakistan as Pakistan.
Why are the relations at their best now?
I think some of it has to do with that President Trump and Field Marshal Munir got along very well. There's also, I think, that as I talked about a year ago in the Jerusalem Strategic Tribune that your listeners, I'm sure, read, that I had called for a deeper partnership on minerals. The United States, yes, consistently sees Pakistan as a security partner, as an intelligence partner. Somebody long ago said, the experts in Washington on Pakistan are spooks and generals. I'm pro-military, I'm pro-intelligence, but I think we've historically had an overly militarized relationship with Pakistan. The Trump administration is seeking to broaden the aperture to look at things like minerals. We have a shared interest with Pakistan on developing the minerals in the Reko-Dik region in Balochistan. There's an enormous amount of minerals. To develop those minerals, you'll need a lot of energy to pull the rocks out of the ground. Pakistan has all of the ingredients to be a processor of minerals as well. So all of that's going to require gas. And the best source of gas is Turkmen gas. And then Pakistan will make money on the tolls of transporting Turkmen gas through Pakistan. It could go directly to a Pakistan port if we can't get India to agree to the I part of TAPI. But I think once the 3 pieces of TAP are built, India will want it. The other thing that's different than, say, 12 months ago, Jacob, is that Ambassador Sergio Gore was just confirmed. Ambassador Gore was born in Uzbekistan. Ambassador Gore is now the U.S. ambassador to India. Ambassador Gore is now also the special envoy for South and Central Asia. Ambassador Gore is very close to President Trump and has unique access.
Right. He was responsible for the personnel in the Trump administration.
So there is nobody in the U.S. history, there's no way that Ambassador Gore created a role on South and Central Asia unless he was thinking about big swing for the fences economic opportunities for the United States. Turkmenistan and Pakistan should say that the United States industry will get first crack at contracts in the construction and the servicing of the Turkmen side and the Pakistan side of TAPI in exchange for sort of America's good offices in helping bring this together. The United States enjoys right now excellent relations with Qatar, excellent relations with Saudi Arabia. This would be the moment for the United States to ask for their help. Pakistan has had some reluctance to pursue TAPI. They've said, we don't know if we want to rely on Afghanistan for our energy security. This is the moment for President Trump to ask Field Marshal Munir to break the impasse and to begin construction now on the Pakistan side with Asian development financing, with Development Finance Corporation financing, with U.S. Export-Import Bank financing of the Pakistan side of TAPI.
It would certainly unite the region, wouldn't it?
It would unite the region. We could add it a T and call it the Trump Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan pipeline. Just like TRIPS has 2 T's, we could add a second T, so TAP and then TAPI with 2 T's. Because I think this could be a legacy project for President Trump. So why is this in the American interest, Jacob? We're going to want alternatives to Russian gas. We have Qatari gas, potentially Algeria gas, Norwegian gas, American LNG. Having additional gas come online from Turkmenistan, not just through the Trans-Caspian Middle Corridor, but through a Pakistan corridor. One is it'll provide energy opportunities for Pakistan that really needs it. There will come a day, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where at some point we're going to have some kind of rapprochement, some kind of recognition and return to the international community of Afghanistan. It would be in our interest to have this pipeline ready to go for that day. We don't have to recognize Afghanistan in the meantime. They have minerals. They have a growing population. They potentially have gas in northern Afghanistan on the border with Uzbekistan. So we should be ready for that day. It may be 3 years from now. It may be 10 years from now. But sooner or later, Afghanistan will return to the international community. I don't like the Taliban regime. We don't have to approve of their methods. I dislike very much that they are not allowing girls in school. I think this is something that we should continue to push on. I think we should protect the people who were with us in the global war on terror, who supported us in Afghanistan. All those things are true. But just as we have indirect tactical discussions with the Afghans on counterterrorism, just as we have indirect tactical conversations with them on humanitarian issues, I think this rises to the level of importance for the United States that it's worth our while, and we have an alignment of forces and planets where TAPI and certainly TAP could be done. And that's what my piece is about in the Jerusalem Strategic Tribune.
Now, what about India and Pakistan? How would they cooperate?
So India and Pakistan, we're not. I think that President Trump and the Trump administration intervened in the recent flare-up over Kashmir. I think there are structural problems in the relationship between India and Pakistan. I think the United States on its own is not going to necessarily solve those problems at a kind of a deep structural level. I do think, though, that having Ambassador Gore in India, if serious construction happens in Afghanistan, if serious construction happens in Pakistan, that we have the best person representing the United States to cajole and persuade the Indians to pursue the I part of TAPI would be with Ambassador Sergio Gore. There has to be some great power that catalyzes and convenes TAPI. Up until now, the United States, on an on and off basis for the last 30 years, has pursued TAPI. All of the need for TAPI is far greater now than 30 years ago, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's minerals processing, whether it's the development of minerals, whether it's population growth, whether it's great power competition with China, whether it's Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, and the desire to take people off of dependency on Russian gas. All of these reasons militate for further developing Turkmen gas, for further having alternatives to the transport of that gas from non-Russian, non-Chinese transportation pathways. So this is, I think, if you said to me what the big opportunity is over the next 3 years between the United States and Pakistan, it's TAPI. And it's a big opportunity. We just had this meeting on the C5+1, which will be the future, the C6+1. In my view, solving this challenge for the Turkmens, having an alternate pathway, not just through China, not just through the Middle Corridor, through Azerbaijan, having a third pathway for a new pathway for Turkmen gas that opens up LNG for the world, potentially powers Pakistan, and down the road, 5 or 10 years from now, powers an Afghanistan that returns to the international community, where the girls are educated in school, where human rights are somewhat honored to some degree in the breach. These are goals that can only be pursued by a Trump administration.
How involved do you think Trump is?
I think if the Turkmens and the Pakistanis promise, and then later India, that American companies are going to be at the front of the line and get preferential treatment on contracts, they'll be very interested. I also think, to the extent that this benefits American technology companies powering American-driven artificial intelligence, to the extent this benefits American mineral companies or American processing companies of minerals or American manufacturers, the United States will be very interested in this.
Now, you mentioned Russia earlier.
Yes.
What is the impact of all of this on Russian gas, which is a critical part of their economy?
So this is a great question, Jacob. I think that the Russians have overplayed their hand on using gas as a weapon. So many countries, Ukraine, Moldova, Germany, over time, other Western European countries are in the process of getting a gas divorce from Russia, because Russia has proven to be an unreliable partner, either because of their foreign policy decisions or how they use gas as a weapon. You've seen the Baltic states get off of this, getting off of dependence on Russian gas. You've seen the Poles get off of this. You're seeing Romania get off of this. All to say that there is a great demand for alternatives to Russian gas. Having Turkmen gas in the global system transported through a Pakistani port and turned into LNG to export to the world as an additional alternative to Russian gas is very, very attractive.
So essentially, the Russian invasion of Ukraine has boomeranged upon it.
It's absolutely boomeranged upon it. You've seen a whole series of countries in Western Europe say we are done depending on Russian gas. You look at Moldova; they're in the process. They're getting a gas divorce and an energy divorce from Russia and Transnistria. I wrote about this in the National Interest, thanks to you. And so I think, but you see this across the board, a whole domino effect. You've seen incredible interest in Qatari gas as a result of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, increased interest in Algerian gas, and much increased interest in American LNG. So as a result, you could see now with a normal government in Bolivia that over the next several years, we should be developing Bolivian gas for export to Asia via Peru. So all of this is a direct result of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine and people saying we cannot afford to depend on Russian gas. And so they're being pushed into a corner to sell primarily to the Chinese. They're on their way to becoming a Chinese vassal state.
Dan, thank you for sharing these illuminating insights.
Thanks, Jacob. I'm thrilled to be here.